Hello, everybody. The Warm here with 999 yet again. And last time we made an unfortunate discovery. We have discovered the remains of Snake. They were located in door 3, and he appears to have died from the explosive implanted within him. Now, obviously, that's terrible. It's terrible for Clover. It's terrible for all of us, really. And it's not only terrible because it restricts our options somewhat, but it also means there could be a threat to us that we were not sure about before. And certainly morale-wise, I'm sure this hits all of us pretty hard. Except for the fact that, or not the fact, but except for the possibility that there could be, what would it be? Traitors in our midst? Now, last time I spent the last part of my session trying to maybe suss out who could have been responsible for such a thing. And I came to the I came to a guess that perhaps if it were 3 people to open the door, and Snake was one of them, it could have been Santa and Seven, I believe, is what I eventually came to. After that session ended, however, I came to another idea. I think it's less likely, but I still think it's possible, so I want to keep it in mind. Because technically speaking, Snake didn't necessarily need to be one of the 3 numbers. Now, again, I think this is probably less likely than the scenario I described last time. But let's imagine that there were 3 other people besides Snake who used the red. And we got an explanation from Zero at the beginning that if 3 people use the red, and then another person walks in who has not registered at the red, their countdown will also start. The 81-second countdown, theirs will start. And you're effectively doomed from then on because you cannot register at the dead. So, technically speaking, there is a possible scenario in which 3 people besides Snake were the ones who opened it up with the red. And then for whatever reason, Snake walked through the door, or was forced through the door, or accidentally went through the door. Again, I think it's a bit early to say precisely what happened. The only thing that makes me more suspicious that it could have been intentional is the fact that none of the people involved told anyone else about finding the electronics. You know, if they said, "Hey guys, we found the electronics, we're going to go check out the door," and then it was an accident, you know, that's one thing. But no one mentioned anything about the electronics, and they all just stayed quiet about it, and that's what's making me suspicious. So, if it was 3 people, I did do some more little digital root calculating, and I think one combination I found was this, yes, which would be Ace, Santa, and Lotus. Now, Santa and Lotus we've already discovered are the most cutthroat of the bunch, but again, especially for Lotus, that cutthroat nature is more towards survival, and as part of that, she sees she sees the others surviving as necessary towards that end, to eventually get through the 9 door. So, I'm not, again, this all comes down to motive. I'm not sure I see a reason why she would want to kill Snake. Santa, I feel like he's just more callous. I could see him being behind something like this, but again, why now? Why Snake, you know? And Ace, we haven't spent a lot of time with. But, yeah, I'm just not sure about Ace. We also had what appeared to be Snake's final message, although I'm a bit confused on how he managed to write it if it was Snake. It was LLR. I tried to... I could easily be forgetting something, but I've not been able to recall anything with those initials. Like there's... If you think to the 9 of us, Lotus is the only one with an L. There's no person with an R. So it could be their real names, but I don't... how would he have found out, and what would the use be for writing them, you know, rather than just writing the name? So that's still a mystery for me. I do not know LLR. I'm not sure... We appear to have left the room, so I'm not sure we're going to be discussing that as of yet. But, yeah, so this has been a... It's been a pretty crazy sequence of events. And I'm not sure how the group's going to deal with it. We're just going to have to hope we can, I don't know, salvage the situation somehow. We do have places we can go, and that might be the best decision, to just go, rather than stay around here and try to investigate. Of course, the problem comes in, if this was intentional, if this was a murder, then just moving forward without finding out who or why could be just as dangerous, or more dangerous. So, let's see what happens. The squeal of the tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time, it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. Yeah, and she was just starting to recover just a bit, you know? And then she's hit with this. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered.
Probably murdered, huh? Well, what you got, Seven? Why do you think that?
Chances are he was killed the same way the Ninth Man was.
Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn, and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3.
Here we go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. That it has to be at least 2 people, you know? Okay, let's hear Seven's thoughts.
Then they shoved him into it. Alone. And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Fortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead.
Yeah.
Snake was the only one who went through the door. And then 81 seconds after he was shoved in.
Man. You could sort of see it in the picture here, you know? I can't even imagine. I mean, I'd probably start panicking. I'd probably be shouting, you know, shouting and screaming to open the door. Just like hoping that someone other than the two could hear, you know, down the hallway. I'd scream, I'd start screaming my lungs out, I think. I mean, but you only have 81 seconds, you know? I mean, what could you do?
That happened.
I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh?
The problem for me in this situation that seems a bit odd is the letters LLR seem to be written in blood. Now, certainly with the ninth man, and here too, I don't see someone... What would it be? Recovering from an explosive like this? So, with what and how did Snake supposedly leave that LLR message?
You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
Junpei crossed his arms and grunted.
Well, just in case, I want to make sure.
And see, this is weird. This is weird. Because unless it was like a spur of the moment kind of thing, surely the people who did this must have realized that this would put them at risk of discovery. Because they just, everyone would have to do is what I did last session. And I think the one I got to was here. That would put Santa and Seven as prime suspects, essentially. I'm just doing it again because I'm paranoid. The ninth man, he came back. Yeah, and this one is obviously not the case. Oops. I think that's everyone. If we're going by the theory of it's Snake and 2 others. So if that is the case, it had to have been Santa and 7. Which makes it very strange that 7 is bringing this up. If you're the killer, you would want to obfuscate it. It's a bit odd, then, that if Seven's one of the killers, that he would direct the conversation towards it being a murder instead of an accident or just not speaking at all. So,
Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
And that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts.
and I forget, how long did that take? Did that take like an hour or something? I remember there was a time skip. I don't know if it was a half hour or an hour.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yeah, June. It's just... It's looking like that. Again, I don't know if it was murder or an accident, but there should definitely be at least 2 people involved in this. June seems shocked.
How can you say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a killer.
2, actually.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven?
Ace, he seems a bit calm already.
What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it?
What, you're saying Zero came down and killed him? Like...
Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner. And those who don't are the losers.
So, what's your point, Ace?
Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Okay, but does that change the facts of the case? What is... I get what you're saying, and yes, we will ultimately have to work together, but are we going to be able to work together if there's a couple killers that are killing for some reason? Like, if... I get it. It wouldn't... It can't be easy to, you know, just step up and say, oh yeah, I killed him. Like, unless there was a... Like, what was the motive? What was the reason? Like, I'm willing to listen. I don't know much about Snake. I didn't get to hang out with him much, but he definitely seemed very crafty and competent, right? Was he threatening someone or doing something to make people paranoid? What was the... I mean, he seemed willing to work with us. He gave the directions that he got from Zero. What was the... I mean, unless there was information on there he didn't share with us and he was working against us in some way. But then the people who did it should step up and say that. So it's... I get what you're saying, Ace, but I feel like this is important.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
And, like, what do you mean by make us fight each other? Zero didn't force 2 people to kill Snake.
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion.
So what are you saying? Should we just... Should we pretend he was struck by lightning?
We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship.
Boy, I would just love for that to be the case, Ace. That's the cliche we want, you know? We want to just get together and get out of here, but this is a tough situation, man.
Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
See, this is what I was talking about with Seven here. If you were the murderer, you would definitely want to steer us away from talking about the murderer.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself.
Really? So you are that thing I just said, the thing I just said facetiously a little while ago, that Zero himself came down. You're rolling with that? Now, are you really rolling with that, or are you rolling with that to just put this issue to bed so that we can move on? And, you know, whether you believe it or not is beside the point. What's your deal here?
If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
But that... That seems pretty antithetical to what the game is supposed to be about. He didn't write in the... Or Zero didn't write in the rules, hey, while you're doing the doors, I may come down and kill you. I feel like if it were Zero that did this, it would defeat the purpose. And didn't we have this conversation? Or a similar one? I think it was with Santa or something at one point. Where he talked about... At one point in the conversation, we talked about Zero and I think it was when Zero told us to start being suspicious of people, or to be paranoid. It was before we entered 7 and 8. And he gave the argument that, well, it was probably one of us that did something to Snake, because why would Zero do it? I think we had a conversation like that.
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered
If
that.
Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
That would be good information to have. Junpei. Was Zero still on the ship with them? Man, I mean... that could be what we heard over the intercom. That could just be a recording for all we know. Oh man. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with this one, because I really don't know. I don't know about... I don't have the confidence to say, of course. He wasn't sure.
Something's still strange.
What was that?
Well, I'm just wondering about one thing.
And what's that?
How can you be so sure that Zero's on this ship?
Ace's eyebrows shot up.
Really, Junpei? I confess I'm a little disappointed. Usually you're rather sharp.
Okay, no need to denigrate me.
Isn't it obvious?
No.
Wait, it is?
This ship.
Huh?
Zero said, "this ship," several times when he addressed us.
Okay. Oh. Well, if we're going by rules of the sea, the captain is supposed to be the last one on the ship, so I guess that makes sense. So you're saying because Zero didn't say the ship or that ship, but said this ship, as if indicating, you know, indicating where Zero is as well. This ship. I see his point. But that's not... I feel like that's not 100%.
If he weren't here, he wouldn't say this ship, would he? He'd be saying something like, that ship.
Yes.
Or the ship.
I getcha. But what if it was a recording? What if Zero was here and made a recording or something? I don't think this is foolproof, Ace.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Ace's explanation made perfect sense, and Junpei felt a little foolish that he hadn't seen it himself. Still, he was left with a question, and it was one of no small importance.
If Zero's on the ship, where is he?
Well, if Zero is the captain, you would assume... captain's quarters? The bridge? Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. There is another option, of course. And it is something I had thought about early on, but I'm not sure I've ever mentioned it. Other games and visual novels have done similar things. There is the possibility that Zero could be one of us. That's certainly possible. Otherwise, why would Zero want to disguise and distort his voice? So, you know, they could pull something like, "It was June all along," and that the whole innocent and caring thing is all just an act, you know. But at least that's where I think Ace is going with this, or excuse me, Junpei is going with this. It's a possibility, sure. That definitely is. Again, he heard the ghosting moaning noise. Ghosting moaning noise. And moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone.
I think Zero is one of us.
There it is. So how does that get back to what Ace was saying? So if Zero's one of us, Ace is just saying we should ignore that and move on? In that instance, wouldn't it be very important to try and investigate this? And again, if it was 2 people, that means there's an accomplice. Every human body in the room froze, and the only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. But who? Was he one of them? I'd say it's possible.
Well, that's possible.
Huh?
Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us.
The issue now, of course, is now that we've said that, it's going to be this is going to be causing the suspicion that Ace was apparently trying to get rid of.
What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said?
Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason.
No reason. I've got a great reason.
And what's that?
The bracelets.
Now here's the question. If one of us is Zero, are they bound by the same rules?
Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to.
Interesting. Good point.
It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet?
Yeah, so it's if we're under constant supervision, there wouldn't need to be something like a timer in the detonator.
You got a point.
I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the Nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves.
That's right.
In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why's that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that?
Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered.
So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
Seven, when we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then. I've got a question for you, Ace. You said something like Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
Why are you so sure about that?
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake is Zero. Hence, Zero is one of us. Seven and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
At least they do if Zero is one of us.
No one spoke. Their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up.
What were his motives?
That's a good question, and it's something I keep trying to think.
His motives.
Yes, isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh, there's that. I was talking about motives specifically to kill Snake, and I have to think, if we're going along the track that it's Zero who did this, Snake is he's competent and he's crafty, and he seemed like he's able to get a handle on things pretty quick. Maybe he figured out who Zero was, you know, or he discovered something, and Zero needed to get him out of the way because of that. That could be a motive. But this question here, why would Zero want to hide as one of us? I don't know that. I feel like we would have to know more about the Nonary game, why it's being held, you know, what the... I think that question's kind of tied to this whole thing in general.
Oh, well, that's because,
Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that. And he had to be honest with himself. He had no idea.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed.
Oh, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
In other words, you only had circumstantial evidence.
Yeah. It's true that we don't have anything definitive.
I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Ah,
Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him, and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else to look at. Then, in that horrible silence... Oh no. Another hour gone. They heard a bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Oh my goodness.
Then we need to move now. Seven, Clover, Junpei, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
Yeah, but... You're making me suspicious, Ace.
you're right, but
Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say and sighed. Seven and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else very far away.
We must go. We have very little time left.
I'm thinking this is a mistake. I'm thinking we should have probably investigated the, It's so weird that everyone else is comfortable with this. Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew where they were going.
our next destination is Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
All right, let's go, June.
Right. Here it is.
When did we get Mercury? Was that, Mercury? I don't even have Mercury originally written down at all. Huh. It sat bolted to the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen between the 2 elevators.
The Mercury card reader.
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
Okay. Was that found in door 3? Key card.
Yeah,
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
Yes. Yes, it was. Okay.
I think 7 said something like that. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Junpei slid the card through the reader. The light on the reader turned green and made a tiny electronic noise.
I guess the elevator works now.
Jumpy, I know it's only the 2 of us, but let's do our best.
Yeah,
What's with you all of a sudden?
we kinda have to.
Well, I'm happy we were put together.
You know it's just for searching E-Deck, right?
Even so, I'm glad I'm with you.
Oh,
That's good to know.
first we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
Just like we did before.
What are all the others doing at this time?
Oh, here it is.
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
Let's go.
Yes.
Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator.
Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
Huh. Is that lower than E-Deck?
Yeah. Well, let's try it out.
Junpei hit the bottom button. The door closed. Slowly, they began to move downward.
Oh, so this is the bottom deck.
They stepped off and saw that the hallway to their right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end, but not a regular dead end.
Hey, over there.
This is a numbered door.
Yes, it is.
This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase. They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large hospital room. Doors 3, 7, and 8.
And the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck. It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
1, 2, and 6. That's every single number except 9. This is weird because these last 3, 2, 1, and 6, they're all on different floors. And so it could be something like door 9 is behind one of them, and the other 2 have things that you need to get there or something.
That means...
Do you think the next door we find?
Yeah, I think so. The next one's gonna be door 9.
Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well. Man, I feel like everyone just moving on from Snake's death so quickly is not good.
Finally!
Yeah.
You don't look very happy about it, though.
Well, I don't think this will necessarily be a cakewalk.
It's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
You're right. We should keep our fingers crossed.
Let's head back.
Okay.
He did his best to put it from his mind and headed back to C deck with June.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 7 pieces.
The 7 pieces of paper they folded up lay on the ground next to Junpei's 7 pieces of paper. What? Huh. Everyone had written on paper pulled from Junpei's notebook in an effort to pull together a blind vote. What are we voting for?
Just double checking, but everyone wrote their code name and a door number they want, right?
Yes, just like you told us earlier.
Can't believe we're voting here.
This seems odd. What's the thought process behind this? Yeah, why had they decided to vote that way?
We need to make the whole thing fair, blah-de-blah. This is a complicated plan, you know. Hurry it up, Mr. I have a brilliant idea.
They decided it wasn't fair to simply ask everyone at once. That would allow people to force others to go through certain doors.
Yeah, quiet in the peanut gallery.
I do think that's a good idea in terms of morale, you know? Yeah. And he had a plan. Are you trying to get together with Junpei? It wasn't a plan he wanted anyone else catching a wind of, however, so he did his best to act calm as he began to open and read the piece of paper.
All right, let's open these up. The first one says, Ace requests door 1.
Hey. Makes sense.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to explain why?
No, I think we got it.
No, we don't have time for that. Sorry. Let's keep going.
He opened the second one.
Next is Santa. He wants door 6.
That's divisible by 3.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Junpei continued with the third, fourth, and fifth piece of paper.
Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2.
Wait a minute. There is no way I'm going anywhere with the Elephant Man.
Lotus, that is very rude. Quite frankly, immature. And depending on the way things go, you may just have to deal with it.
No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that.
And what, you just think he's ugly? Come on.
But...
Just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some exhibitionist grandma.
Oh my goodness. Well, watch your back. If Lotus wasn't one of the killers before, she may become one.
I am not an exhibitionist. I'm wearing clothes.
Yeah, and why those clothes, by the way? You seem to be a rich person working at some highfalutin company, and you're a hacker or something? What were you doing before coming here?
Barely.
So, last I checked, that's not a crime.
Is this just how you dress normally? Interesting.
Maybe. But what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how old Lotus is, but she doesn't seem that old, but okay.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
Yeah. Lotus's hair flared out like the mane of an angry lion.
Oh, not good.
And she roared with a voice that shook the walls.
him!
We can't let you kill him, Lotus. With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her.
Junpei, read the rest.
Right.
Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the 6th piece of paper. He opened it.
June wants door 6.
Yes, I don't really have a reason. I just felt like it.
All the papers save Junpei's had been read. He did some quick calculations in his head.
So this was everyone's vote.
Oh, are you you saved yourself for last and you're gonna get to pick now? Is that it?
Ace and Clover requested door 1.
This was the door on A deck near the central staircase. What is this marking here?
7 and Lotus
Oh, is
requested
it a
door
1?
2.
Is it just a 1 then? 7 and Lotus. This was on the bottom deck. Could be reached by taking the elevator. Okay.
Santa and June requested door 6.
Wow, we got 2, 2, and 2, huh? So how does this work out? So if we get to pick, that would work. That would work. No. That wouldn't work, right? So we can't go with June. This was door on E deck and could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down.
Then the door I should choose is...
Took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened the 17th piece of paper and spoke.
Okay, the last one is mine. I want to go through.
Because we can't do 6. Junpei's 5, right? And June is 6. Can't do it. So what's going to happen if we pick that? 1 and 2 work. So how is that going to get solved? 1 and 2 makes sense, but then they wouldn't be able to go into door 6 at all. So we're gonna have or no, we would just have to. I'm actually kind of confused how this is gonna work. Someone's gonna have to get left behind again. So I guess, how is this gonna work? Okay, just because I'm gonna try and stick with June, but I know this is not gonna work, so things are gonna have to get shuffled around regardless. What doors are possible between us right now? We are 5 and 6. No. No. Nope. If we swapped Santa and Clover, we could do it. Or if we did Lotus and let's try to stick with June, see how that goes. But this is gonna cause conflict.
I want to go through door 6.
Junpei flipped through the open piece of paper. He read Junpei door 6. Of course it did. He'd written it after all.
That's a problem.
June spoke barely above a whisper, but they all knew what she'd asked,
None
what
of
she'd
these
said.
teams will be able to go through the doors they want.
Clover and I chose door 1.
Lotus and I chose door 2.
That's not enough people to open a numbered door, however.
The digital routes don't match up either.
We've got similar problems. Junpei and I want to go through door 6, but our digital route is 5. If we're gonna open that door, we need a 1.
Damn, what are we gonna do now?
What are we going to do?
Junpei crossed his arms and did his best to put his thoughts in order. The others followed suit, but with little result. Eventually, Clover broke the silence.
Why don't Seven and Lotus go through door 1 with me?
Her face was cold and flat, as was her voice, but her logic was sound. And then Ace would go with us. Seven and Lotus looked at each other. 7 plus 8 plus 4 equals 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. First problem resolved, they spoke up.
What about me?
Isn't that obvious? Wasn't one of the teams just complaining that they didn't have a 1?
You mean I should join Santa's team?
Yes.
Clover nodded, her face still cold and emotionless. Her attitude and posture could not have been more different than the energetic girl only a few hours ago. No one seemed ready to contradict her. Her response was understood. Wait a second. Are they saying... Ah, that would work. Because it is 3 to 5. That's right. That's right. Her response was understandable given the horrible situation in which she found herself in, but even so...
I understand. I'll go through door 6 then. If we do as Clover has suggested, we can all pass through a numbered door and no one will be left behind.
There we go. Yeah, that works.
This seems to be the most reasonable solution.
3 plus 6 plus 5 plus 1 equals 15. 1 plus 5 is 6.
7. Lotus. What do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
Alright then. We're good to go.
See you later.
See you, Clover.
Wait, Clover! Don't move on your own!
Yeah, you guys gotta watch her. We didn't tell you, but in door 8, she kinda got set off a trap, essentially, so you gotta watch her. But I'm sure she's kinda inconsolable at this point, so you may have to stick with her instead.
Oh, I'll be going too then.
And good luck, Lotus. Good luck, Seven.
Yeah. Be careful.
We should get going as well.
At last, Junpei and the other 6 had managed to separate themselves into 2 teams. Clover, 7, and Lotus headed to A deck, where door 1 was, near the main staircase. Junpei, June, Ace, and Santa, however, took the elevator to E deck. The ride to E deck was a silent one.
This is E deck.
There should be a door at the end of the hall.
Alright, let's go.
Santa's word jolted them into action, and they stepped out of the elevator into a long, straight hallway. Before long, they arrived in front of door 6. How long have I been going? Okay, I think we can at least start this door.
Here it is. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Then let's get to it.
Okay, good luck, everyone. One by one, they put their palms over the red. With a soft electronic noise, it authenticated each of them. Go, go, go. The door opened, and all at once, the 4 of them leapt through it.
Hey! I found it! It's right there!
Fortunately, the dead was located easily enough. Man, at the start of this game, the way it was being described, I had it in my head that finding the dead was going to be one of the more difficult parts of this, but I guess not. This one had been placed quite close to the door they'd enter through. They gathered around it quickly and hurriedly placed their palms over it for authentication one by one.
It stopped.
Yes! It stopped!
The countdown had ceased, but Junpei's heart was still pounding in his chest, like a frantic, thunderous drum. It felt as though it might shake itself up and out of his throat.
Whew. I don't believe I'll ever get used to that.
I'm not sure it's something I'd want to get used to. We should finish this game before imminent death becomes a normal thing.
Fair enough.
You got that right. Once I'm out of this hellhole, I'm taking a nice long vacation.
I agree.
With that, the doom and gloom from before was done, and the mood turned somewhat lighter.
All right, let's go.
With that attempt at good humor, Junpei took a deep breath and began to walk. What have we got? He jogged down the stairs at the end of the hallway and found himself staring at a large door.
This door looks heavy.
But it's not locked. I'm opening it.
He took hold of the bar that served as its doorknob and shoved it down. The room beyond stopped him in his tracks. Whoa. It was gargantuan. It made entirely of metal. None of the accents of wood or tile he'd seen in the rest of the ship. This room was purely functional, but utterly tremendous.
Whoa, what the hell is this?
Santa got out a few words before awe stole the rest of them. The rest were too stunned to offer anything more than gasps.
This has to be the biggest room so far. The ceiling is pretty high, too.
Huh. Could be 2 stories, maybe even more.
This space could be utilizing the entire length of the ship.
What's that huge Kamaboko-looking building in the middle?
I don't know what Kamaboko is. June pointed to the massive building in the center.
Kamaboko? Well, I guess that's as good of a description of it as any.
Junpei and the others were standing on scaffolding that crisscrossed the whole area. The proper term was catwalk, Junpei thought, although that didn't seem particularly important.
I see stairs, so we may as well head over to them.
Yeah, but this section's barely wide enough to fit 1 person.
You're right.
Nearby was a long iron staircase that made its way, eventually, to the floor beneath them.
Whoa, you can't even tell the shape when you're this close.
Let's check out the other side, too.
They moved around toward the opposite side of the massive building, following the catwalk. They hadn't said much as they walked, but as they approached the building, Ace suddenly spoke up.
This looks to be the steam engine room.
The steam engine room?
Yes, that thing that looks like a cross-section of a mushroom is the boiler. You see the 3 round doors near the bottom? Coal is put into those and burned, which heats the water, producing steam. The same thing that drives a steam engine. This one is simply somewhat larger.
I see.
It doesn't appear to be running right now.
The entire room was as silent as the grave.
All right, let's split up.
Then all of a sudden, Junpei heard a noise behind him. He turned just in time to see June collapse to her knees. Oh no, what happened?
Hey, what's wrong? Are you all right?
Is it hot? What's it like in here? He dashed toward her and wrapped his arm around her shoulders to steady her.
Hey, June.
It was then that he noticed.
Jumpy.
Oh, you're really warm.
Didn't she have like a fever early on?
Is your fever coming back?
Yes, it probably is. But I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me. I just need to rest. And I'll be fine.
Her voice was weak and forced, and it said a great deal more than her words did.
Okay. Here, sit down. Careful.
Do you have any water or something? I mean, you probably don't, but can we find some? Junpei carried her to the nearest wall and propped her up against it. She let her head fall back against the wall as if she had no longer had the strength to support it, and drew a ragged breath.
Thank you.
Her eyes were empty, as if she was having trouble focusing them, and even speaking seemed difficult for her. Junpei felt his hand ball into a fist and clenched tight, his knuckles whitening. He had to find a way out, and quickly. He turned and looked at Ace and Santa in turn.
Ace, Santa.
Yes.
Right.
They might not have shared the depth of his emotion, but they certainly shared his concern.
All right, let's get started. Hang in there, June. I'm gonna get you out of here real soon.
She managed a small nod before leaning back to rest her head on the wall. Here we go. Find or seek a way out. Okay. Steam engine room. Okay. Yep, I'm going to end it here. Next time we will do this puzzle. So this time we dealt with the aftermath of Snake's death. We moved on, and we were able to decide our teams and go through our next set of numbered doors. I'm gonna say I'm a bit suspicious of Ace, just because he tried to very quickly divert from the whole Snake situation, which I understand there is some merit to, but I don't know. And I can't help but keep thinking back to his offer to be left behind. Like, he could have done some stuff. Like, supposedly he gave himself anesthetic, which caused him to fall asleep, but we don't know if he actually injected himself. He just says he did. But see, the thing is, Zero, if he's one of us, presumably has to play by his own rules, right? And that's where we get into the trouble with, again, if we assume Snake was one of the two people who did it, I don't see a way he could have done that. Yeah, I don't see a way he could have done that with Ace, so... Man, there must be something I'm missing. There's something I'm not taking into account. At least I think there probably is. Well, I'll just have to think about this for another day. Maybe in the middle of tomorrow I'll get a flash of inspiration or something. Or maybe not. I still don't really know how good I am at these sorts of games, so... for the people who have played this game before, I'm sure this is... well, you already know how on or off the mark I am, so... I'm sure this will be funny in retrospect, you know? I can look back and see, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea. Yeah, well... Okay. I hope you're all doing well. And I hope to see you next time. Yep. I've been The Worm. This has been 999. It looks like we're getting towards the end, so we'll see how it goes. Well, not the end. We only have 3 hours left, so I'd say we're probably over halfway, right? So that is both exciting and nerve-wracking. So see you next time.